Now, everybody's got to really pay close attention. We absolutely now in the state of West Virginia have 100 Delta cases, Delta variant cases. We all know that this came from India, and absolutely we all know that the infectious rate of this is 1,000-fold. Now, just imagine, what Dr. Marsh will be reporting to you, or General Hoyer, or whomever, Dr. Amjad. They'll be reporting to you that this variant is different. It is much, much, much more contagious. And it is something that we absolutely are monitoring. We have done it and done it and done it. Now, I just told the General just this. We all hope and pray, because we're on day 503 right now. And we all hope and pray that really and truly what's going to happen with this Delta variant is it seems to surge to some level pretty quickly, and then it seems to drop off fairly quickly. We are so hopeful and prayerful that we are at a level that we could hope that we could be approaching a level of drop off, but we know better. We know better. And, I termed it just a second ago with the General. In my heart, I believe, I've got my gun up, I've got my safety off, and I've got my finger on the trigger, and I think I can see the enemy coming. And I really am hesitant to whether or not to shoot or not. But I know for sure that I can see the enemy coming. At least I think I can. That's exactly how I feel. Because in my stomach, I believe and I feel that the enemy's coming. And the enemy is this Delta variant. Now, we all know that the exposure level of this Delta variant is much greater. We all know that Dr. Marsh, will report to you today that you can walk through a mall, and the air, it's almost like going into a bar where people are smoking or something, and you can see it and you can smell it and everything. Well, you can't see and smell this, but it's almost like it just looms in the air in a much more infectious way. Now, so we got to do something, and we got to do something really fast. And West Virginia has always been on the forefront. We're the third oldest population. We're the sickest population from the standpoint of all the different diseases that we have in our state. Today, we've got 147 people in West Virginia that are hospitalized. Everybody knows that this Delta variant is running through the land all across all kinds of other states. We do not want to be alarmist. We are not ready to move forward with mandating masks or anything like that. We absolutely will always be open to evaluating and being fluid in how we adjust and what we do. But right this second, I am directing our task force to evaluate all PPE levels all across our state. I'm directing our task force to look at all the hospital staffing and bed availability. I am directing our task force to look at the nursing homes in the same way for staffing and preventative measures, and to see that we have a sufficient supply of antibodies on hand. Now, basically, we are moving proactively from the standpoint of a foundational emergency planning program. Now, in addition to that, West Virginia being the leader that it's been all along, we're in contact with the Pfizer folks because here's what's happening. Across the land, we are now finding out that people that were vaccinated first, especially those that were 60 and above, me, Kathy, all those that were vaccinated early on that are over 6 months out from their vaccination, we're finding that the antibodies that you have to fight off a Delta variant have diminished, and you may very well need to be looking at a booster shot. So we're going to do a trial. We're going to do basically a study in regard to that. And what we're going to do, we're going to call it the Booster Battlefield Assessment. And the battlefield part came from the general because basically that's what we're doing. We're doing an assessment of the battlefield, and the battlefield is the Delta variant. Here's what we know. We know that from 2 months out from your vaccination, people begin to lose, antibody resistance. And I'm not a doctor, so if I use the wrong terminology, just bear with me. 6 months out, we need to evaluate people like myself. We need to evaluate the folks that are in the nursing homes. And so we're going to do a voluntary battlefield assessment, battlefield assessment on a voluntary basis to gain data on antibodies and how protected you really are. And so in doing so, I am initiating that we're going to do that immediately. We're going to move on this immediately. And again, I am very, very hopeful that West Virginia will lead the way. I don't know of any other states that have done so, but in this situation, what West Virginia needs to do, that our nursing home population that is 60 and above, and our folks that had a vaccination that are 6 months out from when they had the vaccination, that are 60 and above, we're going to ask you on a voluntary basis that we absolutely are able to draw blood, check your antibody levels, and then, compile data. And that data will be just this probably. It'll come out, that if your antibody level has dropped below X, whatever X may be, then it may very well be that through Pfizer and the CDC and all those out there that you are in need of a booster shot to be able to protect you. We all know that this Delta variant is here. We've got 100 cases now, and it probably will become more and more greater in the days ahead, and I have been advised by the top medical experts and the top people that I could possibly have. I have been advised and everything without any doubt that this thing in the next few weeks is probably going to get significantly worse. And if that be the case, we need the data. We need the data to know, how we can move towards protecting our citizens in a better way. And that's why West Virginia has been on the forefront, and that's why we need to move, and we need to move right now. In addition to that, if you've not been vaccinated, we all know that as time goes forward and everything, the more people that are vaccinated, the better off we'll be throughout this entire state. I've made myself a whole lot of notes today, and I've probably left off a few things and everything, but I can tell you where this all started in the very beginning. We had two real mandates in the very beginning, and they were really, really simple, and that was to protect our people and to protect the integrity of our hospitals, to make sure that our hospitals absolutely were equipped and staffed and everything to be able to stay strong for every case, for a heart attack or whatever the cases may be. But we had to protect our people, and we had to protect our hospitals. In this situation right now, we need to move, because if we move and we move strong enough and we find out as we test people that their antibody levels are great, then what have we lost? We haven't lost anything. We haven't lost one bit of anything. But if we find out that their antibody levels have really diminished and they really are not protected against this Delta variant, and we can give them those booster shots and everything, absolutely we'll save more and more lives. We've got to move. We've got to move right now to make sure, from the standpoint of our task force and everything, and to make absolutely certain that we are adequately supplied and we have the PPE. We absolutely need to make sure that our hospitals are staffed and we have an evaluation on the beds and how our hospitals are staffed. And we also need to check on our nursing homes as far as their staffing, their preventative measures, and to make sure that we have sufficient amounts of our antibodies, the antibody drugs. Now, this is not time, again, to be running through the streets in panic. It's not time for that. It's not time for that at all. We will now move our briefings back to where we will go, instead of 2 days a week, we will now go to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now listen, anybody out there that would think, I wish to goodness we could be announcing we're going to be changing our briefings to 1 day or eliminating our briefings. We need to have the briefings. We need to be here right now. We need to be ahead of the curve. West Virginia has always been ahead of the curve. Absolutely. If you're one of those folks out there like myself that's had this vaccine in excess of 6 months, you probably should really strongly consider, and I would tell you, you really need to have your antibodies checked, and we'll be telling you how to do that, and it will be of no charge to you. We will cover every bit of that, and absolutely you need to have that done so that we can evaluate each and every person, and we can come up to a level of what the CDC or Pfizer or whomever it may be would recommend from the standpoint of a booster shot. We need to protect our people, don't we? And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through and finish up the other announcements. Then I'll open it up to your questions and everything. And like I said, we've got Dr. Marsh on my right now. We've got General Hoyer on my left, and they'll be here. And I think, do we have anybody else? Do we have? Well, okay, you got all we got right here. Okay, that's good stuff. Okay, the reminder again about 65 and older. If you're 65 and older and you get any symptoms, gosh, you'll be crazy not to go get tested. Please go get tested. It is so important to go get tested. From the standpoint of the antibodies can really help you if we catch this early enough. Vaccine eligibility, 12 and older, second shot, get your second shot. Vaccine effectiveness, really good. Young people, we got to get you vaccinated. We're getting ready to go back to school. For crying out loud, you've got to get yourself vaccinated. That's just all there is to it. From the standpoint of the COVID information, it's all up there. I've talked to you about the Delta variant. Yesterday, we gave out a new truck to Michael Quinn in Webster County, and he's from Hacker Valley in Webster County. We gave a truck to a beautiful nurse, operating room nurse and everything, Ellen Taylor, and we gave $1 million to a lady, a beautiful